Welcome to this PREMIS introductory video. After watching this video, you should understand what PREMIS is and be able to apply its principles of preservation metadata to your organisation systems. What is preservation metadata, you may ask? In fact, what is metadata? I've asked my friend Tim from IT to answer this.
So data in its most basic form is simply just raw facts and figures. For example, the number 5 or maybe the character A. We make that data have meaning or turn it into information by giving it some context. For example, maybe that 5 actually represents miles and it's the distance between two places. Or maybe the character A could be part of a blood type. Now, metadata, on the other hand, is often described as data about data. More specifically, it's the information which helps us to structure or to locate data, or maybe to manage it or explain it or describe it in more detail. So some examples of metadata would be maybe the date in which the data was originally collected, maybe a file type which would tell us exactly how it's structured, or it could be the last date that it was accessed that we might use to prioritise where it should be kept.
Thanks, Tim. Now let's talk about PREMIS. PREMIS stands for Preservation Metadata Implementation Strategies. As Tim said, metadata is data about data. It helps us locate and describe data. PREMIS concerned itself specifically with preservation metadata, and that is metadata that you need to understand the digital preservation process. And that means preserving digital objects for long periods of time. And PREMIS is a standard as well as a data dictionary for implementing this to your systems. And currently it's in its third version. PREMIS concerns itself with semantic units. A semantic unit is a discrete body of knowledge. And this can be quite confusing, but the best way to think about it is a way you can represent your metadata. PREMIS does this because it doesn't want to be too prescriptive of how you represent your metadata. You could represent it in XML or RDF if you wanted to. There are 5 entities PREMIS concerns itself with: intellectual entity, object, event, agent, and rights. An object means a digital object such as a file or an ebook. These are semantic units for the object. They're in a container format with different components to them, and they can be mandatory, optional, repeatable, or not repeatable, and can be given different classes. Note that in the third version of PREMIS, intellectual entity has been included in the object entity. And that's a rather crude example of a file in a local authority office to do planning. The event is activities that occur to the object, and in this example I've included migration. Agents are people that make changes to the object. In this example it's the local authority. And rights concern information linked to copyright. The advantage of PREMIS is you can adapt it and implement it in any way you please as long as your system is conformant. Examples include relational databases and dynamic systems, and you could represent it in RDF or XML. But people have found that not all PREMIS units have been used when implementing it, so maybe they are redundant. And it's not always a perfect fit to an organisation, as developers have to make certain choices how to represent information and what units to enter. The Florida Digital Archive discovered that there's no clear benchmark of introducing PREMIS, so a lot of work will have to be done on your front. After having watched this video, you should now understand what PREMIS is, what metadata and preservation metadata are, what units and entities it covers, and ways you can apply PREMIS.